Hi guys, it's the GWR SNF88 speaking with another update on the 2600 project. And as you can see, things have changed quite dramatically. Now, this is only a rough representation of what the loco will look like. Basically, what I've done, I've only done a small amount since the last update, but they have the two things that I've done are quite major things, which has allowed me to partly assemble the model. Giving you a rough look at what the loco will look like when it's complete. And I must say, I am very pleased with how it's coming along. And this, as it is at the moment, really does give a good rough representation of what the 2600 look like. Now, if I turn the model around, as you can see what I mean by the motor there. Obviously, it's got to be quite a lot done to the Firebox still. As you can see, it's very lopsided. It's off to the left. It should obviously be central, but because of part of the motor's shape, which is one of the modifications I have mentioned, I will need to do. That's what I've still got to do yet. But it's it sits on there quite snugly, giving you this giving an overall look of what it looked like. Now, the things that I've done, if I disassemble it temporarily, I'll talk about the boiler second, as that's the thing I've done most recently, so I'll put that over there. And take the running plate off and move the motor out of the way. Now, this is the main part of the project that I've been concentrating on, and it was one of the things that I was a bit concerned on how to do. This is what I would say one of the most complicated parts, apart from obviously the Firebox, which is definitely going to be the most complicated part. But it took me quite a long time to figure out, a couple of weeks in fact, how to make this running plate. Now, as I mentioned in the last update, I was thinking about making one huge sheet of plasticard, then cutting the hole out for the motor, and then getting the City Truro's running plate and cutting off the bottom of the smoke box, which is on the frame, with the cylinder chest, I believe it's called, and basically cutting off at the top, so cutting it along like that, if it focuses, along like that, and then sticking it on top of the plasticard. In the end, I decided to not go with this idea because one, it's very, very complicated to do. Two, if I was to use a saw, I would cut off, or a knife to try and cut off this chest bit, I would lose half the detail. And three, it would mean I have to use a lot of filling when I put it on there. Once I stick it onto the frame, it would obviously stick up above the frame, and there'd be like obviously a couple of millimeters height to it. That means I have to blend it all in, and also it would add another millimeter to the height of the model, which one, I do not need, and two, the model is high enough already. So, in the end, I decided to go with this option, which was to basically cut the front of the frame off. So, what I did was I simply got the frame, as you can see here, and I sawed it down on the step. Now, I was off camera there. Basically, City Truro's running plate is stepped, as you can see. I basically cut it directly down where the steps to in the running plate. So it came off in a section like that. Obviously, because I didn't want to cut off too short, as in I would have ruined it altogether. So I decided to cut off longer, which is better, and also it was a more easier place to get the saw down in between and get a perfect line. Once that was done, I then decided, obviously figuring out that it was too long, I decided to cut it directly down the back of the cylinder chest. If I'm saying that correctly, or the bottom of the smoke box, this thing, whatever. Anyway, I decided to cut it directly down there, which gave me a nice straight line. After measuring the plasticard, I found that the plasticard was roughly the same width as the top part of the running plate, as you could probably see there. So all I just did was simply use my template, my card template, as you saw in the last update, cut the plasticard to the right width. Then obviously I had to do quite a lot of rough modification. This will all be covered up, this rough sort of cuts and jagged and stuff. It was really, really hard because obviously this being so thin had a habit of bending, and I ended up cutting a few running plates, and obviously half them snapped and bent and stuff, but I got this one just right. And then I cut it to length so it would fit so the overall length combined with the front of the Truro kit will make the length of the running plate, which of course it has. Upon putting it on the chassis, I found that it was a bit too long. So what I did is City of Churros, a kit, as you can see, has quite a nice stepped effect as the real locomotive. I don't know why it's not focusing. Is it going to focus? No, it ain't going to focus. So I'll move it back a bit. If I move that out of the way, it might focus a bit more. But as you can see, anyway, if you just about see it there, there's a nice stepped effect, which obviously would be nice on the model as well, I thought, which is another reason why I use this part. So in the end, I started chiseling away with a saw along the bottom parts of it so I can move the frame back along the chassis. So see my fingers, the motor, as you can see there. So basically what I did is I sort of chiseled it away so I can move the frame back and back and back a bit more. So obviously the running plate would be correct length. And in the end, I got the correct length. So if I reassemble it back onto the, whoops, the bogies come out. I've still got to figure out a way to attach the front pony truck. But as you can see, it slots in there quite perfectly. And if I pick up the chassis, you can see where the I've chiseled it away. Don't know why it's not focusing today. I think it's having an off day, this camera. You can see that it's the frame here is flush up against the 08's, the 09's chassis, which is perfect. So that's that. The thing I've got to figure out next is how to attach the bogie. As I mentioned, this chassis is not mine. It's been lent to me by my friend, and I don't want to cannibalise it. As I mentioned, I want to keep this kit, so basically you don't have to modify the chassis or any of the parts in any way. So that basically, if you want to run at 09 again, you could just pop the body back on, pop the couplings back on, and it will be, all be perfectly intact. So I've got to figure out a way to probably use some plasticard of some sort to maybe make like a little frame that sort of glues down onto there, and then I could screw the pony truck into that. But that's another story, so we'll leave that for now. The second major thing I've done, of course, is actually start cutting out I started to cut out the firebox. Now, what I did was, the firebox, as you can see here, I've got the other half here, was originally like this. And if I pan it around there, you can see that it was very, very narrow, and the motor would no way fit in there. The motor just about fits in this section here, although one of the copper contacts, which you can see here, which is the one I was on about a minute ago, which is making it lopsided, still does not fit in there, which is where the little added extra thing that never was really carried on the class, which never saw service on the class, the so-called imaginary modification that I'm coming up with, which is like a lubricator box or some piping cladding or whatever that I'm going to put over this section when I cut it out. So I've got to cut out a little part here so that the brush will stick out from the side of it, and then I'll put a box over it of some sort to make it look like there's a lubricator in there. So that's what I've got to do. Basically, if I reassemble it all again, I won't put the front pony truck on because it just move about. It fits on there quite snugly. There we go. Now you can see I've got to cut about a couple of millimeters out of this here, this little corner section, and then I've got to get a piece of plasticard like this. And then what I'm going to do is this bit's a bit too high. This is a rough offcut from somewhere else. Basically, the firebox will look like that. Obviously, I would like to keep the nice sort of curved shape of the GWR fireboxes, but it's going to be too complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have it flush, which is not too bad. I might have it at a slight angle inwards, depending on how much room the motor and the little bits have in there. But there will be a little box which will go over the brush here. Maybe just on this side of the loco, just to cover up that annoying little brush, which obviously I can't chop off because it's part of the motor, and obviously I don't want to chop it off. But it's got to be done so the boiler will sit straight, and of course it all fits together. Another thing that I've noticed in doing this is that the cab, if I start it back on, you can see there's quite a distance between the motor here and where the running plate and the chassis ends. You can see there's a bit of an overhang here. This will be cut off when I get round to it. I've left it on there because, like I said, it's better to overdo it than it's better to cut off less than to cut off more, or otherwise you have to redo it again. So basically I've left that on there at the moment, and if I find it, I've got a bit out. This is what the original cab side, which comes with the kit. As you can see, it's way too short. I've got to make my own ones because obviously it's supposed to be on City of Churros raised running plate. So that's got to go there. But as you can see, it's the motor sticks out from the back of it, so it's way too short as well. So what I'm thinking of doing is, where's the roof section? Here's the roof section. Here's the roof for City Trio, which I am going to use, and here's the side piece that I mentioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my own door, my side piece, for the cab, and the roof's going to be the same length, but the bottom bit here is going to be a bit longer. It's going to stick out a bit more, so obviously it'll cover up more of the motor from the side. Some locos had this, obviously the 2600 I don't think did have that. It's just one of those things, those modifications I'm going to have to do to cover up the motor a bit. Obviously I don't want to cut a new roof. I could always make a new roof and obviously make a longer one, but it's quite a hard piece to do because, as you can see, it's lovely and curved, and it's got some nice bits of rivet detail on there. But the roof will sit on there quite nicely, as you can see. It covers up the majority of the motor, and obviously it looks a bit longer because of this optical illusion with the frames being longer. So hopefully that will all work out. So that's basically all that I've done this week on the actual loco itself. I've still got a long way to go, as you know, and of course the next bit is to tackle that really complicated firebox. All that little imaginary, magic box that I've come up with to go over the side there, and also gluing it all together and fitting it on. But another thing that has been done, I've done a bit more painting. I still need to do a bit more, obviously, because of that annoying really satin colour, as you can see here. I still need to do that bit. But the tender. Now, the tender, I'm going to use the original tender which comes with the kit, which is this one here. But the wheels, which are here, these are obviously plastic, and they're very, very rough. I've sanded them down and all that, but they run really, really awfully. I can see them jumping off on points and everything. Also, the flanges on them are very, very fine indeed. Probably finer than some of the fine scale ones you get on Hornby stock now. So that means they're definitely jump points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some wheels. Now, sadly, they don't do spoked wheels in this sort of size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the new Hornby 2-hold disc wheels, the same type of wheels that are on the CCT, the new LMS CCT unit. One, because my Hornby CCT, as I mentioned in my review of it, has a wonky axle. So I've got to get some more wheels anyway to replace that one wonky axle on there. And obviously they come in packs of about 8, I think, 8 or 10. So that means I'll have 3 definitely in that kit, which I could use on this. That will add extra weight to the tender, and also it will add hopefully smoother running and hopefully keep it on the track. But obviously they'll be disc wheels, so they won't be spoked wheels. But one of the ideas I have for the livery for this loco, obviously being quite heavily modified, so it's not directly close to the, it's not too close to the original class. I'm thinking of going for a fictional livery with it. So I've been pondering with a few things, and I think that the disc wheels might enhance the livery that I will be applying to the loco when it's complete. But I'm going to keep it all hush hush for now. I know a few of you know, so don't mention it to anybody. But if all goes well, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the paint goes on much better than the black paint, hopefully we'll have a very stunning and pretty loco. But as I mentioned, still a long way to go. I hope you've enjoyed this update. Sorry if I blabbered on as usual. It's took me a few takes to get it right. But overall, I am very pleased with how it's going so far. So do tell me what you think, and what you think of the loco. And I guess it's a bye for now. So anyway, this has been SDJR Senef88 speaking, and thanks for watching.